So first of all, I'd like to say good morning. It is Friday, April 29th. The one thing that I really like about Friday is that you can really pick up some cheap premiums on options or on stocks when you're buying options. Because I tend to buy weeklies because I prefer to trade intraday. And on Friday, when you have expiration days, obviously the options are much cheaper. And of course, SPY, you can do that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So today should be a really interesting and good day. So always remember that past performance is no guarantee of future results. So I want to show you something I created, and we talked about it yesterday. So this is the trading journal that I have set up. And one of the things I've challenged myself to do is to be disciplined and to display that and show that during our sessions, and to then make good choices. So I did make some good choices yesterday, but I actually was not patient. So I'm just going to go through my selections. So I bought PayPal, and I bought it twice, PayPal options. And I bought Upstart. And it's interesting because PayPal, and I'll show you this when we get to the chart, I bought PayPal puts, sat in them for a long time. And as a result of that, I saw the consolidation. I knew that PayPal was going to break out one way or the other. And of course, I sold out in order to protect my investment because I had to take a phone call. And when I sold out of my position and I came back, I didn't check PayPal, and PayPal made a huge gain to the upside. So missed that opportunity. Upstart, bought a put that worked against me. So you see my loss here. AMD, I tried to catch AMD at the top yesterday near the close of market. And my aim was to try and recover some of my position loss. Now I wasn't down. I was actually up about $12, and of course I needed to make 50 on yesterday. And what's really interesting is on PayPal yesterday morning, it did gap down, and I saw it hit my target. And at one point I was up $53, and I should have taken the trade. Instead, I did not. And it was apparently market makers trolling the stops of folk who were holding PayPal, because that downside move on PayPal lasted about 15 seconds. And by the time I looked at it turn around and of course looked to get out, it was already back to a place where I was almost even. So again, you have to really be paying attention and keep your eye on this market because it moves very quickly. So I bought the AMD at the top, trying to trade it to the downside, and it didn't get where I needed it to go. Now it is down this morning, so I made the right call, but I wasn't willing to hold it overnight. I didn't want to have that much premium, $73, tied up in the event it went completely against me and gapped open to the upside today. That would have wiped out a pretty large amount. But I did swing NEO. So I bought NEO twice. Bought NEO, and of course it hit my stop, and I got out, and I bought it again, and I swung it overnight. So I'm still in a NEO trade. And of course, with the idea of only trading one stock or one ticker at a time, I'm not going to buy anything on the open. I see lots of opportunities given what's happening in the market this morning, but I'm not going to buy anything on the open. I'm going to trade the NEO that I swung from last night. So using this journal, it's calculating my profit and loss. So as of right now, I have lost $38, and that is only because my Neo trade hasn't closed yet. So you see the buy here for Neo at 22 cents, which is $22, but there's no exit price. So that trade hasn't closed. So this is my total investment. And as a result of that, I'm down $38. So if Neo went to zero, I would be down, of course, this amount. So that was my reason for swinging Neo, because the investment was relatively small. Again, I bought it for 22 cents, and I'm looking to trade it to the upside, and I was willing to risk that overnight. So this is where we are for the first day, and I'm tracking this. And right now, if in fact I lost that $38 total, counting that $22 from Neo, my total return would be negative 7.59%. That's a lot to overcome, but I did not anticipate Neo falling falling to zero. I mean, it could fall to half. So then, of course, I would probably be down about 4 or 5%, and I was willing to take that risk. All right, so this is a ledger that we're going to use, and today I'll be tracking my trades as well. And I'm trying to do this for every 7-day period, because the one thing we talked about was if you're able to make 10% on average in your account each day, then every 7.2 days, your account will double. So we'll be able to see that here. This is the first period, second period, third period, etc. And we just kind of keep track of our progress or lack thereof, being fully transparent. So that's the ledger. So what I saw on Neo yesterday is I really liked this inverted hammer here, and you see this trailing stop. So I considered Neo to be bouncing off of this trailing stop, in particular when I saw the green candle yesterday. Now, it briefly got above the 5-day EMA, but it didn't hold. But it gave me this doji, which I have interpreted as continuation. So I'm expecting Neo to continue its move to the upside, and it had decent volume. So based on that, I decided to swing Neo. And of course, it was a relatively small investment. AMD, I had anticipated being able to make something off of that trade. It didn't go as well as I wanted it to. And I had anticipated again that because of this resistance here, it was going to fall back below. It did not yesterday. Now today, AMD is down. So AMD is currently trading below this support and below this support on the 5-day. So this is actually it's at 88.04, and the 5-day EMA is at 88.46. So that was the right decision. I just didn't want to take the risk. Now I'm expecting that because of this resistance here, AMD is going to open and it's going to decline, which is what I had thought would happen in the afternoon. Had AMD declined yesterday and it was profitable at the end of the day versus in the negative, I would have most likely decided to swing AMD. Looking at Devon, we've got a couple of things here. Devon looks like it's really good on the upside. I'm not going to buy it, but I would like to. And if I wasn't in my Neo trade, I would, because Devon looks like it's going to be strong to the upside today. Moderna, I'm looking at puts. Netflix, I'm looking at buying to the upside, looking at calls off this. And of course, Neo, we talked about that. Nucor, I'm looking at buying to the upside. Rivian, I'm looking at puts or upside. If it breaks out to the upside, it's going to be a breakout. And Upstart, I'm looking at upstart as a breakout or to the downside. So it looks like it's going to be moving up. So let's go to our setup for today and take a look at what we've got. So David, are you with us?
Yes, Richard, I'm here.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Guess who bought Amazon puts on the close yesterday?
I imagine that would have been you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations
Well,
indeed.
May set that up long ago at like 3,400. I mean, there's no way they're going to report anything good.
That is great. That is really great. Yeah, Amazon got smashed yesterday. So as I mentioned, I'm in NEO currently. NEO closed at 1693. It's currently at 1769. That looks like it was a good trade. Let's look at our account total. As you can see, we are down. So we have only right now we're $486.26. So we obviously didn't meet our target yesterday, which was to be at $550. But let's see what happens with our trade on NEO. And our account should change here because the value of NEO has increased. And we have to now grow our account today to 600 to sort of keep pace with what we want to do. So let's see how we do. All right, so we're going to start here with the open and track this NEO trade. And even showing me a change in my account value yet, at least on my application. But I like the fact that we gapped open today. So this is what happened. This is where NEO closed. NEO hit a high of 1856. It'd have been nice if it opened at 1856, but we'll take what we can get. All right, so we have to get over this ATR trailing stop resistance here on NEO. And I'm still waiting on, again, my account to update. So given the fact that it hasn't, means I may not be able to even sell if I wanted to. I'm not really sure why it is taking so long. So this is really unfortunate because now I'm sort of stuck. I would have liked to at least have the option to sell out of my position, but my account is not even updating. And I'm getting no movement here. So I'm looking in my app on my phone, and it's not showing any changes or any trades. On NEO. All right, so now here we go. All right, so now it's up. So 526 is what our total account value is right now. 526. And I'm going to, again, take a look at NEO. I'm going to use a 30-minute chart since we're already in this trade versus a 5-minute. We're not looking to make an entry. And if in fact it moves in my direction, so I'm looking at support here. I'm looking for NEO to move to the upside. I need to get above this 5-day EMA on a 30-minute. All right, it appears to be moving in the right direction. So again, not looking at anything else because we swung this. We don't want to trade anything else until we are out of NEO. All right, perfect. All right, so I'm going to go to a 5-minute chart, and I'm going to track NEO opening high and opening low. This is the opening low. I'm going to want to take my profit though early, because that's when I'll get the best benefit. Now we're at 555, so I'm just going to watch this for a little bit more, and not going to be greedy. I'm going to certainly keep an eye on that 8-year trailing stop, where that was the actual high of the pre-market as well. That occurred at 4 o'clock this morning. That would be nice if we get to 600 off this trade on the morning. We could be done for the day. So that was a nice swing on NEO. Again, paid 22 cents for those premiums. They're now worth $1.12. So I'm keeping a close eye on resistance. It's now coming into play here. I'm not going to risk my profit, so I'm going to keep my eye on this. As it gets closer to this resistance, it doesn't have to hit it. It could just be enough of a problem. And it looks like we're going to mark our opening high here, unless NEO climbs above this 1814. So we're still good. We've got support here on the 5-day EMA. I'm going to mark this as the opening high. And we're going to watch this 5-day EMA here. And what we want to see happen is, if in fact this becomes the opening high, then we want to see this third candle break through to the upside. Or we'd like to see this candle continue making new highs. That would be the ideal. And I'm going to get myself ready so that I can get out of my position quickly. All right, I have the $29 call expiring on Friday. And as you can see, the ask is 110 right now, and the bid is 104. I paid 22 cents for it. Not getting the momentum to the upside that I was hoping, but we will just keep an eye on this because we're still above the 5-day EMA. I have my active trader set so that I don't need confirmation. If I press sell the bid, it's just going to execute. It's not going to ask for confirmation because I want to be able to get in and out quickly. And if you are interested in this setup, I will share it on Sunday by dropping a link in the chat. And then I'll explain how it can be used. All right, so going back to our 30-minute chart, we can kind of get an idea about what's happening here. And given the fact that this is a spinning top above the 5-day EMA right now, we're expecting this to continue to the upside. All right, so we are below the 5-day EMA, but we've got this ATR trailing stop here. We're going to protect our capital. We're still positive on the day. Just going to be patient. The ATR trailing stop keeps me in trades often. That's a key area of support. And again, we're going to wait for the candle to close. So the VIX is falling. And so far, we're still good. Of course, my price has fallen to 65 from $1.10. So that was a huge drop. All right, so the ATR trailing stop right now is holding. Just going to keep an eye on this. And we're not going to add to our position. We're going to trade what we have because we don't want to introduce any additional risk. Now, if we were trading this, for example, and the market was, and we weren't in any positions, we wouldn't make an entry here until after it broke through here to the upside and broke its opening high. But because we're already in it, we're not going to add to a position. We're going to save our capital for our next trade and try to take advantage of an upside move for NEO. So you see how powerful and how significant this ATR trailing stop is. And it held. So the idea is, again, if this candle had closed below, that would be a signal, a problem. Now we still have the opening low is support. So we have a couple of different support and resistance levels. This opening low here is currently the lowest level of support. Well, I take that back, the 200-day EMA, but we're not going to trade or let it get down here. We would exit before that. The opening low is support. The ATR trailing stop is support. The 50-day EMA, the 20-day, and the 5. So these are aligned properly, which is good. And now we have the opening high, which is resistance. So we want to break this opening high resistance, and then that would become support. So we're just going to watch and see what happens here and try to make some good, sound decisions. And try not to make any decisions based on what we feel or emotions. So even though I'm watching the value of my account, that's not going to drive my decision making. Other than a stop loss, I'm going to decide how much I'm willing to risk in terms of capital. But beyond that, I'm not looking at that for decision making. Now, I will tell you, if we are able to trade NEO and it trends to the upside and my account climbs to above $600 off this trade this morning, then I am likely to take that profit and call it a day. Because at that point, my NEO trade would be up significantly. It's currently up now 275%. 5% at 85 cents. So I imagine if NEO continues to climb, I'd probably be up close to 500% of that trade. Why wouldn't you just take the profit on that? So you can trade a small account and do really well. Again, if this had been the only trade for today, if we started at 22 cents, then it would, again, being up 246%, that would have been the total amount needed to be made for the day off that one trade, off of a risk of $22. So it's doable. What we talked about as an objective, and we just need to be patient. We need to be disciplined, not overtrade, not chase positions, and not be shaken out because of fear. But patience is critical. So Dave, we looked at PayPal yesterday, and as we were talking, we talked about that consolidation that was happening, and it went on for, over an hour. And we talked about the fact that it was going to break out one way or the other. Well, it broke out to the upside, and it just took off. And also, Netflix had a strong day yesterday. I really had a really good feeling about it, and I'm using feeling from the perspective that I was looking at my charts, and the charts indicated that Netflix was going to trade to the upside, but because it opened and moved down, we didn't get in. And of course, Netflix had a really strong day yesterday as well. So in my chart today, the stocks that I'm watching, and I'm not going to take my eyes off this NEO trade because we're in a trade, we're trying to protect our capital. But once we're done with NEO, we're looking at AMD, Devon. So AMD would be to the downside, Devon would be to the upside. Looking at Moderna, Moderna can go either way. Looking at an upside trade on Netflix, looking at an upside trade on Nucor, NUE. Rivian could go either way. Rivian could very easily be a breakout, and then a downside trade on Upstart, or either way on Upstart, actually. So one of the things that's happening now, though, is this move on NEO is essentially sideways because it did gap open, and it's just because of time eroding the value of our premium. So the delta currently is 80, which is good, but it's still moving sideways. Now, the risk would be to get out of this, and all of a sudden, NEO simply makes a nice move up. But I'm going to take a look here and see what we've got. So we've got resistance here at 1863 on the 4-hour chart. NEO has support at 1741, but it does have this resistance it's struggling with at 1786. On the 1 hour, this is not a reversal. 30-minute. All right, so it looks like there's weakness in NEO. So I'm going to take my exit here. I'm going to try to, well, I'm going to be patient because I just talked about that. But I think that NEO is, based on what I'm seeing, it could decline and give back its gains. So I'm going to try to see if I can get the best price. And I'm going to keep my eye on this here, but I need to see NEO get above this 5-day EMA because currently it is bearish. Let's take a look at the VWAP. So I'm going to pull up a different setting here. NEO is below the VWAP and it's bearish. The point of control appears to be at the bottom. So this is the VWAP here. And NEO is below that, and I'm gonna have to restart my system. I'm having trouble here, I have an error. So this is unfortunate. So just give me 1 second while I restart my application, and hopefully nothing terrible happens in the interim. So Dave, I showed this earlier and I'll go back to it. I have this, I don't know if you saw, let me just log in. I don't know if you saw the journal that I completed that we started talking about yesterday. I'll just take a quick minute and pull it up. Princess and I talked about it. I went through it. But I'm tracking here my gains and losses every 7-day period. Again, we see NEO here, which is still open. So there's no exit price. And of course, this is a summary from yesterday. So when NEO closes, we'll enter the price and we'll get a true reading. So that total profit loss is not going to be, well, I guess that would be, it won't be 38%. It's going to be better than that because we are above now versus below. Okay, so we're bullish now on NEO. So that's a good sign. And let's make this bigger. I feel a bit more comfortable with that. So this is the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. And when using the volume profile, but as we can see, V is struggling. This point of control here, this is where the most volume occurred, this white line, that's at 1780. So we really need for NEO to be above the point of control. It's above the VWAP, that's good. But we need it to be above the point of control because we want the volume, we want all those, we want buyers, not sellers of this stock. So if most of the transactions occurred at 1780, we want those to be buying transactions versus selling transactions. And there's a struggle going on currently between the buyers and the sellers. So far, we are okay. We're going to watch this next candle. And we do see the 5-day EMA moving up. So that's positive. That means the price is moving up. And good, we've got some volume coming in now. So this is the average volume, this yellow or gold line for NEO on the 5-minute chart. NEO has moved into the value area. This green line represents where the highest price, where the most volume has occurred. So that's currently resistance. But again, we've got volume coming in on this candle. So, and it's upside volume. So we're just going to keep an eye on this. We want this candle to close, and it's going to close in, well, we've got about 2.5 minutes. So 300% gain on that trade right now. And let's go back and take a look at a daily chart and see what's happening on NEO. So if we look at NEO on the daily, so this is again what I saw for NEO. On this decline, we have this inverted hammer. And we talked about the ATR trailing stop and how significant it is. NEO bounces here off the ATR trailing stop with decent volume. And I had anticipated it was going to close above the 5-day yesterday, which it did not. But we got above it today. So now this is going to be support. So I don't have enough time to stay in this NEO trade. If I had next week's expiration, I wouldn't worry about it. I would be very comfortable just to trade NEO and stay in it, because given what's happening now with NEO, NEO should continue to move to the upside. It has found support here on the 5-day EMA. It has some resistance here on the 20-day and at the 50, but the 5-day is more significant. Also, this ATR trailing stop. So it looks like we have found a bottom for NEO. So NEO hit a low of 1301. It climbed, it came back, it then made its second bottom, and we would buy off here to the upside. So that would be a really nice trade. So what we may do is just simply continue to trade NEO. Next trade may simply be with more time. I'm not a swing trader, so not going to actually buy NEO as a swing trade or as a trade that I will hold. But although this is not financial advice, this is a really good looking technical chart, and this is a really good looking technical bounce. So if you're buying and you're a swing trader and you want something you can hold on to, NEO would be my choice. All right, so going back to our NEO trade. All right, so we're looking good. I'm going to pull up again my intraday chart with the volume profile. And just to kind of see where we are. All right, good. All right, so we're looking good on NEO. So here we are above now. We've got the 5-day crossing the VWAP to the upside, which is good. And that's indicating some momentum to the upside. We're above where the highest price, where the most transactions have occurred at the highest price. So given the fact that we've got this strength, this green line should move up and the white line should move up as volume continues to come in. So we're approaching the opening high on NEO. We've got resistance at 1854. So that's $40 above this point here. Now the volume appears to be declining, so we want to see the volume grow. And we have, looks like almost, well, we have 3 minutes left. So we, based on what we're seeing here, the volume should exceed, this volume bar on this candle should exceed this one, because we have 3 minutes to go. So we're watching. And we're looking again for NEO to break this opening high. When NEO breaks this opening high, then we believe it will have some momentum to the upside. That just happened to be where the 200-day EMA is on the 1-hour chart as well. So there's some significant resistance here. And we want to break that resistance. So we see the volume. Again, we're going to surpass the previous volume on the upside, so that's good strength coming in. And remember, we used the ATR trailing stop to keep us in this trade. It was falling, but because of the ATR trailing stop, we're fairly comfortable that it was going to hold. So now, again, we've got volume, we've got growing volume. We've broken through the opening high. We're 1818, again, 1854 is that resistance. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. Currently up 420% on this trade. So we know there's resistance here. And now my delta is 92, so that's good. A 92 delta is awesome, actually. My account value is now 574.76. So we're getting close to our 2-day target, which would be great, given the fact that we have not made any trades today so far. And again, the objective is to see if we can't grow a small account into something that is significant. If we are able to double our account every 7.2 days in 4 months, $500 would be worth $500,000. Now, I got to tell you, that's the ideal. And it would be wonderful if we could do that. We have confidence and believe that we can, but if we fall short and it's only worth 100,000, then okay, I'll take it. So again, starting with 500. So these are some of the techniques. Stock picking is critical. Charting is critical. Discipline is extremely critical. And what tends to happen in many cases is people will overtrade, or they will chase things based on price, or they will exit a position because they're afraid of losing. And those things are all understood. I mean, we've all done it. And particularly overtrading. So we're in this method we're going to use, we're going to trade one stock at a time. And we can trade multiple contracts, but we don't have, again, a large account. So we're limited on what we can buy. So in many cases, we may only be buying one contract. But as the account grows, we'll trade other stocks and maybe multiple contracts, because we're looking at only trading a small percentage of our total account value. So right now, we're trading a high percentage. We're trading 20%. That's high. And as we grow the account, we will reduce that. So for example, if we double the account value from 500 to 1,000, then we will reduce that to only trading 10%. We double it again to 2,000, then we're going to only trade 5% at a time. So as the account grows, we will trade less. And ultimately, we only want to be trading 1% of our account value at any given time, because that limits your losses. If you're trading your whole account and it turns, and a decision that you made doesn't work out and turns against you, the losses can be huge. And if you're trading multiple stocks or multiple contracts on different options at any one time, if they turn against you, by the time you're able to exit those trades, you've lost a lot more than you had anticipated, because you're trying to exit one, you close out, and the other one has already lost another 10, 15, 20, 30%. So again, decision-making, discipline really here is key. All right, so we see this resistance here that we talked about. This is the opening high. We knew this was going to be a problem, but we believe it's going to get broken. So we're watching right now. It's current time is 10:03. So we've been in this trade since 9:30, just sort of watching what was happening, and we could have, if we had another a larger account, we could have actually bought here and traded this to the upside, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to take any excessive risk. On yesterday, I made a couple of trades, and those trades turned against me, and I was quick to exit. No hesitation. And I was willing to lose up to 5% based on holding this NEO trade overnight. But that was an unusual circumstance. I looked at the chart, and the chart signaled to me that this was going to be a good trade to the upside today, and I was willing to take that risk. But ordinarily, don't want to take a 5% loss, because then you have to double your gain the following day to make up for it. All right, so we are waiting. We want this trade to be prosperous, and we'd like to be able to say at 10:30, which is the end of our time today, that we've made our target, our 2-day target. And again, that 2-day target, based on starting with $500, would be $600 total in our account. All right, so we're looking at this weakness. So we have a lot of support. So we see the green line here has moved up. We talked about that. As the volume continues to come into the upside, this line should move up. Now, as the volume, selling volume comes in, this line ends up moving down. And so does this line, and so does this line. So if you watch these lines here, this red line is where the lowest price, where the most volume has occurred. This is where the most volume has occurred for the day. And this is where the most volume has occurred at the highest price. So these lines move. Let's just mark a couple of them. We're going to mark this one. I'm going to change the color, and we can see what happens to them. Mark this one. And this one. So now we know where they are in the current time. All right, we have support here on the 5-day EMA. We are above the VWAP, so we're still positive. All right, so now we see this white line here, which was where the most volume has occurred during the day, was here. And now it's up here. So what we see, and what that tells us, the red line, where the lowest price, where the most volume occurred, has moved up, and now it's back down. So there's a lot of volume coming in. So the volume is coming in, and people are selling. There was buying volume before, now there's selling volume. And we're going to just keep an eye on this to make sure that we stay above the point of control. We don't want to fall below the VWAP and the point of control, because we see that there's selling volume coming in. All right, looks like our support is going to hold. All right, so good. So it's upside volume. Again, the red line was here. The point of control was here. Now it's up here. And the green line was here. So if you look at these lines, that means that the volume that's coming in is buying volume, because the value that people perceive in NEO is moving to the upside. So we're just going to keep an eye here. We're still bullish. We're above the VWAP. We're below the point of control, but it moved up. It was down here. So we're not too concerned that we're below here. All right, let's move back down to selling volume. So even though, so the lowest price where the most transactions have occurred has moved up. the point of control is still about here. So most of the volume is occurring here at 1784. That's where people are buying, so whenever it falls to this price, buyers come in and the price gets propped up. So this is a key area of support, the point of control for NEO. And what we are expecting is if the price falls to the point of control, then buyers are going to come in and prop it up. If it falls below the point of control, then it starts moving into the low value area. We want to consider taking our exit. We're dealing with volatility, so we are anticipating we're going to break this resistance. So one of the things I mentioned as well is when a stock hits resistance multiple times, it's not an indication that the resistance is strong. It indicates that the resistance is getting weaker. So we hit it here, we hit it here, we hit it here, and here, and so far it's been rejected, but we're expecting, well, this is a hammer. I don't particularly like that candle. A hanging man. So we got a spinning top and a hanging man. I'm going to look at closing out this trade because this is telling me that we're going to get a reversal. But I'm going to just kind of make sure we watch here. We're above the 5-day EMA, so I'm not going to be early. But if we get a candle that closes below the 5-day EMA, I'm going to be out. Or actually, it may be that I've waited too long. So when we got the spinning top here, we got a decline. The signal that there's going to be a reversal. So the reversal happened. Then we got this hanging man, which is at the top of this move, signaling a reversal. So maybe the reversal is over now, and it's found support here on the 5-day EMA. But when you see candles like these, and if in fact NEO had fallen below the 5-day EMA, then I would be looking to exit because this is telling me that NEO is going to reverse. And I don't like what I'm seeing here. Just going to keep my eye on this here, and I may have to get out of this position. All right, so I'm out. And, it may be that I did get out too soon because, again, I didn't wait for the candle to close. We saw that yesterday, but I'm unsatisfied with where things are for the moment. And there we go. So I did get out too soon, but that's okay. I'm protecting my capital because I saw this and now it looks like the value is moving to the upside. So, all right, so we're out of the NEO trade. Let's take a look and see what else we have going today. So let me go to our assessment tab and see if we can't make some good decisions. Here on selections, I'm going to take NEO out of the portfolio list, go to our buy list for the day. All right, so AMD is one that we looked at, and this is not the chart that I want. And I indicated that I wanted to trade AMD to the downside based on what I was seeing on the chart. So let's see. We hit the 8-year trailing stop, so we have an opening high, an opening low on AMD. We're just going to mark that. And it looks like AMD hit that ATR trailing stop, and that's where it's going to fall from. So let's take a look at a couple of different charts on AMD. All right, so we see this on the 4-hour. All right, so we have time. So AMD could actually hold here and move back up. So Devin, looks like a good trade here to the upside. Moderna. This is going to look like move in our direction because you've got an inverted hammer, which is a shooting star because at the top of the move. You have a hanging man, which is a hammer at the top of a move. You have a doji here and another shooting star. So I'm expecting that Moderna is going to decline. So we'll keep our eye on Moderna. It's currently at almost 4%. So we're expecting Netflix to move in our direction to the upside. And it did. And this is the opening. So Netflix is going to be trading in a range. So this is a very wide opening high and low. So Netflix is now going to be range bound in here. So we're going to take this off the list. All right, so Neo, we got out, looks like at the right time. Neo is weak and it's declining. So we saw this on our chart and Neo is declining. So we're out of Neo. So we'll wait. We'll find another opportunity for Neo. And we'll leave this on our chart because this represents where the high value was, and this is a point of control, and this is a low value. Nucor. All right, so Nucor, Rivian. And we talked about downside or upside, and let's look at SPY. So now we can just consider SPY as well, given the fact that we are now trying to make some decisions on what to do. And then Upstart. All right, so let's look at the VIX and get some idea about direction. All right, so here we have the VIX, which is in an obvious decline, but we have a triangle here. Just draw this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine what the VIX is going to do. So it's going to break out of this consolidation. We know that. The question is, which way is it going to break out? Is it going to break out to the upside or the downside? So it's really interesting. If you look at this ATR trailing stop on the 30-minute, which is resistance for the VIX, it's at a key level here. So if it breaks through this and breaks out to the upside, there is an ATR trailing stop here, but based on the fact that if it closes, this is a daily chart, if it closes here, then we're going to expect that we can get some continued volatility. The market's going to continue moving down. So you can't see it on here. It's a 4-hour. So this is what we have. All right. So I have the VIX climbing today, which means the market's going to be falling. So looking at SPY, we're going to take a SPY trade. So 420 is where the SPY has support. We'll buy the 418. We're going to watch and see how the SPY handles this ATR trailing stop on the 5-minute, because we know this is going to be key support. And if it closes below, then we would look to buy to the downside. So it looks like it's going to continue moving down, but we don't have a signal. All right, so we're going to come back to that. Given the fact that it is a Friday and we do have expiration date today, we can trade almost anything that we want and get a decent price on premium. So there's a decline in Moderna. We saw that based on what we saw here. Moderna for the day. All right, so what we want Moderna to do is to put this resistance at 145.40, which is a 5-day EMA, to hold, and then Moderna is going to continue its move to the downside. So I'm going to see if I can move this trend line. Given what I see here, I'm going to move it there. So the 5-day EMA is at 145. So again, we're looking for Moderna to decline to 5-day EMA to below. So let's look at NEO, see what's happening with NEO. All right, NEO is holding its own, it looks like. Let's go back to our volume profile to see where the volume is and where the point of control is and what's happening with NEO and if there's another opportunity with NEO. All right, so NEO is now below the point of control. So point of control is up here. We got out right around here. So NEO is below the VWAP, below the 5-day EMA. So it looks like it's bearish. This is where the original point of control was. And NEO is now trying to make its way back to the upside. But what we want to see is, we want to see NEO break this opening high. So NEO is already up 6% for the day. So that's pretty significant. It had a low of 1746. So let's see, the ATR is $1.40, 17.46 plus 1.4, 1888 is where it would seem to be able to go. But we're not going to trade NEO. We're not going to get back into that today. We're going to be done with NEO today. But I do want to find the right trade, so we may just have to wait. I know Visa was downgraded And I looked at Visa this morning and gave some consideration to Visa, and it looks like it might be an opportunity. Facebook is another I think is going to decline. So Facebook has hit the ATR trailing stop. So let's see what we got on Facebook here. We've got the daily chart. So I'm expecting now Facebook to hit this trailing stop into decline. So it has support at 203. That's a $5 move. So you could buy Facebook off this top here and has support at 203. I would consider it 205. Those premiums aren't very expensive. So the ATR trailing stop is at 206.91 or 207. So I want to see Facebook climb and get rejected here before I make my entry. I'm going to buy, look at Facebook to the downside. And we're looking at a 205 put. So if Facebook climbs, it's just 5-day EMA. It may not have enough strength to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this trade because well, let's just be patient. Ideally, this would have been the place to get in when we saw the spinning top here. But I looked at Facebook yesterday for downside trade. And I'm looking at the VIX now. The VIX has a doji, which is not a good sign. So this is signaling a reversal. So the VIX looks like it's going to decline here. So I would expect that Facebook SPY would move up, at least for just a bit, as the VIX declines. But the VIX is going to most likely find support here. So let's keep an eye on Facebook for that opportunity. And it's not in my list, but I'm going to add it. So I'm expecting it's going to find support here, Facebook, and start a move back to the upside, at least temporarily. All right, so the AMD trade to the downside would be good. Had I swung that, so this is likely to hold. And Devin, looking for a trade to the upside. Moderna looking for a trade to the downside. All right, so Moderna might be a better trade, but we have this ATR trailing stop resistance in the way. So we want to kind of be careful there. Neo looks like Neo is done. Just going to take Neo off the list so it's not a distraction. Nucor, we're looking for an upside trade on Nucor. But based on the daily chart, that might not be the right direction. Nucor looked like it was going to hold in this channel, and I fully expected it to climb here, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Let's go back to Facebook because the VIX is climbing. All right, so what we're going to do on Facebook, we're going to wait for a bounce here to the upside and then buy off a rejection to the upside. So that way we don't get stopped out of our trade and we don't end up with a bit of a fear problem. And actually, we're looking at the VIX hitting an 8-year trailing stop here soon. So the VIX is going to hit resistance here at 30.52. And let's look at the 30-minute chart, see what we've got. So this is AMD, Devon, Facebook, Moderna. They're all looking like they're going to find support here soon. Nucor. So Nucor is down 3%. So is that based on U.S. Steel and their earnings? U.S. Steel had earnings after market yesterday. And looking at U.S. Steel on a daily chart, this 8-year trailing stop on the daily may hold, but U.S. Steel could end up going sideways today. All right, so again, just looking at the VIX is going to hit some resistance, which we see up here on the 30-minute chart at the ATR trailing stop, which is at 30.52. And depending upon how it handles that resistance, we would make some decisions. Now, what I see coming in on the SPY is the SPY is approaching a key level of support here. So I'm going to look at the SPY for a trade. Look at maybe a trade to the upside. So I'm going to get myself ready. And the high was 429, 424. So I'm going to go with 425 because I'm not looking to be in this very long. Don't want to pay a lot of money for it. So I'm going to watch the SPY, and I'm going to watch for an entry and try to be in this and out of this quickly. So the resistance for SPY is all the way up here at 422. So support is here at 420.64. We don't have any indication yet that the SPY is turning. So we're just going to watch it, but we see the VIX is running into some resistance at 30.52. And if the VIX gets rejected at 30.52, and it looks like it's going to, we saw that doji on the VIX, then we should get a move to the upside on the SPY. So when we looked at the VIX on the 5-minute, we saw this doji with signal reversal. It didn't happen right away, but we know that there is resistance up here at 30.52. So given what we're seeing here, we're expecting the VIX to decline. So we would expect the SPY to move up. So let's look at Apple, because Apple had earnings and people may want to take advantage of the lower price for Apple. So I do like this 30-minute chart on Apple, what I see here. I see the support here for Apple, but I don't like the daily chart. Let's see. So on the daily chart for Apple, it is above the 5-day. It hit the 20 and the 50 and got rejected. So Apple could actually find support here and move up. But we're going to focus on SPY. All right, so it's 10:33. Our first purchase today has not occurred. We swung NEO overnight, and because of that swing, our account value now stands at 552. Excuse me. So that makes up for yesterday. So yesterday we needed to get that $50 gain. So now we have $552 in buying power for the day. So we can actually try to get another 10%, which would be $50, and get our account to 60 for the day. And then we would have met our goal and our objective, and we'd be on the right path. So any questions before we close? And remember, past performance is no indication of future results.
Hey, Richard, good job. What SPA are you looking at? April 29th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So again, I trade weeklies because I'm only going to be in the position for the day at the most in many cases, and at best just a few minutes. So I'm not going to buy time, or I'm not going to buy something, the next week or the next couple of days. So I'm going to buy the 29th, which expires today. And all the options I will be actually trading will be expiring today. So whether it's SPY or anything else. All right, so I'm looking at the VIX right here, and I see a hammer, spinning top hammer, which is really not completely formed because the wick is not long enough, but this would be called a hanging man. So both of those signal reversal. I see the SPY about to bounce off of a key area of support. So I am looking to buy to the upside. And just because it's fallen through doesn't mean it's not going to bounce. Just means it haven't bounced yet. So I'm looking at buying SPY, and look at the VIX now. It is approaching this ATR trailing stop resistance. So you've got the VIX hitting resistance, the SPY hitting support. That's an ideal setup. So for me, anyway, so I'm looking to buy the April 29th, 425 call. I'm only going to buy one of those. It's currently trading at 64 cents. And if I can make 100% off that, then I will have met my target with my one trade today. So I'm going to go ahead and go to a 2-minute chart just to kind of see what if I can get something here, because I'm going to buy this and I want to find the right entry. So this is a 2-minute chart. I'm trying to get a faster view here about what's happening with the stock, with the ticker, and looking at the VIX. Again, 3052 is that resistance. It's at 3052 right now. All right, so I'm looking at a spinning top here on SPY, a doji. The VIX has broken through that ATR trailing stop temporarily. Now, if it continues, then we're obviously not going to trade this to the upside. We're going to wait. But if it gets rejected, that being the VIX, then we would look to trade SPY to the upside. So it looks like SPY is trying to find the bottom here. And we can be a little patient. So I'm on a 2-minute chart versus a 5-minute. So looks like the VIX is getting rejected up here. And the SPY is finding support. So this is resistance. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and buy a SPY. I didn't wait for it to close, but I've got support here now. I'm on a 2-minute chart, which is a little bit faster, and I have this support level here. So I'm going to go back to, I normally like to enter on a 5-minute candle versus a 2-minute. So I'm just a bit early. So now I have the resistance here for SPY up at 421.70, which is where the 8-year trailing stop is. So looking at the SPY, this is going to be a bullish hammer at the bottom of this move. And looking at the VIX, this is going to be a shooting star. So looking at the VIX here, we've got this doji, almost a hanging man. This is not quite finished forming yet, but it's looking, it's not exactly a shooting star. It's more of a spinning top, but we believe that's okay. We think the reversal is going to be good. And we have this spinning top here on the SPY. So, all right, so we're going to be in the SPY trade for a little bit, but this is signaling a reversal. And even if it doesn't hold, we're looking at key resistance here. So we would set our stop at 420. I'm going to say 420.30. But I think given what we are seeing, I'm going to sit in this trade for a while. So looking at a 30-minute chart on SPY, that was a really long move to the downside. And looking at the 1-hour chart on SPY, you see key support here, the 8-year trailing stop, and then of course, this algorithmic support and resistance. And looking at the 4-hour, so the SPY is bearish. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. So I'm not looking to be in this very long. I'm just looking to take advantage of the move. So you've got this move up, then you've got a spinning top here, you've got a hanging man. So that signals, and it hit this 8-year trailing stop and got rejected. So I'm looking at here a decline to this support level, and I'm looking for it to bounce here, but if it falls through, I'm going to get out of this trade. All right, so we talked about setting our stop at 420.30. We're just going to make sure that, because we're anticipating it's going to reverse because of what we're seeing here on the chart. Ideally, to reduce risk, you would wait until it closes above the 5-day EMA because that's a key rejection point. Just made a new low. $420.30 is our, it's where we have our mental stop loss. Not going to put that into the system because we don't want market makers trolling our stops. But if we hit 420, if we fall below 420.30, then we're going to be out of this SPY trade. Okay, looks like our support is going to hold here. So this purple line is what I like to call algorithmic This should be a G, not an S. Algorithmic support and resistance. So here, what's happening is large trading houses, retail traders with a lot of funds, folks who trade using machines, algorithms have determined that they're going to execute transactions at this level, either buys or sells. So right now, it's looking like SPY is getting bought because the support level is holding. But if it falls through here, then I would expect it to get sold off and the VIX to just maybe make a strong move to the upside. All right, so 420.30 is our stop loss and our head. And it's extremely important to honor your stops because you don't want to go and say, okay, 420.30, okay, 420.25. Maybe I'm gonna wait to 420.20. Next thing you know, you've wiped out your account. So once you set a stop, honor it. And the one thing about trading only a small portion of your account is you can enter another trade. I mean, the key is being able to live to trade another day. So on the VIX here, we've got a couple of things. So I may actually stay based on what I'm seeing, even though I've set my stop at 420.30, I don't think it's going to hit it, but I may actually stay a little bit longer based on what I'm seeing here, because again, I've got this doji, hanging man, now I have this shooting star, all these signal reversal, and I've got this resistance here at the top. So everything here screams reversal, and that the VIX is going to reverse. I see it climbing here, but that doesn't really mean anything. We've got this resistance, so I'm expecting it to reverse. So I'm going to just go back to NEO just for a minute, see what's happening with NEO, see if we made a good decision. It's a good thing we got out of NEO. So we got out up here, what was it, up here somewhere. And we, again, were able to protect our investment, NEO. So NEO now looks like it's just getting back to a place where we might want to buy back in because it's hitting this ATR trailing stop support. This is where all the buyers were. All right, so I'm gonna go back to SPY. All right, so I hit my stop, but now I'm at 420.42. So good thing I wasn't paying attention. And I'm gonna get ready to sell out of this if it hits 420.30. All right, so I'm out. And it may be that this does turn before it continues going down further, but we're not going to take that risk. We're going to get out, cut our losses, and be done with this trade for now, looking for another entry. So putting NEO back on the board. So Dave, we are at 10:47. We actually went a little over today, but just want to know if there are any questions before we close.
Yeah, no problem, Richard. Very good job. The Chicago PMI, which is the Purchasing Managers Index, really dropped. So I think that's the reason for the bearish market.
All right, yeah. So this Facebook, where is it now? All right, so I'm going to enter a downside trade to Facebook because this says continuation, and then I will see you guys tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Saturday.
Oh, I will not see you tomorrow.
Sunday. See you Sunday. What time is on Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern.
All right. See you all. Have a great trade, Dre.
All right, just so you know, I'm in my Facebook put at 206.60 thereabouts. And I'm going to sit in this one pretty much for the rest of the morning and see if I can't get to my gain today of 10%. All right,
Richard,
so have a wonderful day.